Hello and welcome to the Creators Guild podcast. I'm Chris Howell, and with me behind the scenes,
Jared Lovelady.
And we are here to talk about all things creative. And we have someone else here with us today.
Lynn Combs.
Yes, Lynn Combs is here because
I
you have some special stuff going on.
Yes, I do.
we talked about this a couple months ago.
Yes.
And you were on with us. But now
it is
official,
here.
Right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so tell us the good news.
Okay, well, this came in the mail today. My proof copy of Duncan the Dragon, and its official release date is February 13th. You can see updates and little teasers on my social media, author Lynn Combs on Facebook. Well, it's not Twitter anymore, is it? It's X and Instagram.
Very nice.
And on my website, author Lynn Combs, or no, it's lynncombs.com. So.
You don't know your website?
No. Everything else is author Lynn Combs, but the website's just Lynn Combs. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally understand.
Yeah.
we might have a talk about that. URLs and finding domain names.
Yes.
Oh.
And you got to watch out. If you search them too much, there are bots out there that say this has been, and they'll take them and they'll say, okay, you can have them for like $2,000 or something.
Yeah.
It's, oh my goodness. You've got to be careful how and how often you search for a specific domain name.
I'm still looking for the opportunity, like the guy who bought the Google domain.
Yeah.
And he owned it for like 2 days or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
I don't remember what the deal was, like what agreement. I don't think it was a lot, but
wow.
It just, they didn't renew the domain name and he got it.
Oh wow.
And I would have been like, $5 million. You could have this domain for I got it for like 18.
Yeah.
What was that?
I would say with Google, I think I might shoot for a little higher than 5 million.
Yeah, I mean, something.
I mean, get you set for life. You might as well.
Just
right?
put my face up in every Google page has to have my face. For, on the search menu when just the homepage comes
every
up.
Thing
Google.
Has to have a link to your website and your link to the podcast.
Every search result, the first search result
is always.
I search for how to make blueberry pie.
Yeah.
Who is Lynn Combs?
Yeah, exactly.
What does she have to do with making blueberry pie? And car repair.
Yeah.
I needed to find a new alternator for my car, and I got Lynn Combs.
Yeah, there you go.
Result.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. Leverage.
Yes. Get that in there.
Yeah.
So lynncombs.com, and there we can find, so this just came in the mail, you said, and as we can see, not for resale.
Yeah.
Because this is the proof copy.
Yep. And there do need to be a couple small changes. Little things we didn't notice when we sent it in, but mostly it's ready to go. Pictures are bright, vibrant. I was really excited about that. And, there's just something about holding that first, you guys know, holding that first proof copy. Physical, tangible book. It's no longer a story on the computer or images on your computer or your phone or something. It's there. You can open it. You can look at it. And, So.
Yeah. The very first draft we did, we sent copy, just PDF copies, loaded it into there's I can't remember what the printer name is. It's not a publishing place at all. It's just like a document printing company.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But we were able to specify we want it bound this specific way to make it look like a book, but it's full 8.5 by 11 sheets. But they're all bound together, and then when they arrive, we're like,
yeah.
Look, we have this in our hands, and we didn't print it on our printer.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it actually has a title. Like there's a cover with the title on it. It's just a big white cover with the name on the front. But
and another thing, you were speaking about social media and stuff. I had an old high school friend, which we kind of kept touch on Facebook and everything. But when the announcements about Duncan started coming out, she reached out to me. And she actually works for a school district in Connecticut.
Nice.
And so she's setting up a Zoom meeting where I'm going to be able to read Duncan to the class.
Cool.
And then answer questions and be interactive and everything else. And I may do it for a couple classes there. Because, I mean, a trip to Connecticut would be a long trip for something like that, you know, being here in Missouri. But, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, you never know who you're going to reach and what opportunities are going to come out of it.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting. And then I'm also in the Lit for Kids group. And we met on Thursday, the day after our group met. And, they actually had a live presentation that we streamed about going into schools and reading your book, as well as having activities and other things to do and engaging the kids and everything else. And so I was trying to take some of that because I won't be able to physically be there.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to get like the picture of Duncan on the cover here. I'm going to get it as a color page and send that ahead of time, as well as a couple copies of the book and everything. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be, of course, after the release of February 13th.
Yeah.
So it may not happen till March or April, but it's coming up. And that's also exciting to get to kind of go into another classroom. And
no, it's early on, but
yes.
Like, have you thought about doing? Okay, now we have Duncan the Dragon finds his fire, and here's the coloring book pages you can get for Duncan the Dragon, and here's Duncan. Like, you have the Duncan the Dragon story, and then here's other scenarios.
Yeah.
With Duncan the Dragon for coloring book pages.
I've thought about it. I can expand.
Bigger, always.
Oh yeah, always. Actually, I mean, this was kind of a surprise. I hadn't planned on doing a children's picture book.
Yeah.
As you know, I mostly write young adult, and that's been my main focus. But this did win a contest, and it got the eye of a publisher, and we talked, and everything just kind of, like we talked before, rolled into place, and it just came about, you know. So that was just exciting, and in a way, it helped me meet my goal that I wasn't going to meet last year. You know, those being a new year, new goals, new resolutions, those kind of things. But, you know, it did help me because one of them was to finish a first draft of a book, and it wasn't the one I had planned, but it was done, you know. So, yeah, so it worked out.
So what's the biggest difference between, because you write young adult, you're in the speculative fiction group in the Writers Guild, and there are, you know, people have published different ways in the speculative fiction group. What's the biggest difference you've seen between getting a children's book versus young adult book?
I think the biggest, the most difficult thing was working with the artists. Kazif Kazim is the artist. He's from Pakistan, and there were, well, on top of some language barriers a little bit. I mean, he does speak English and stuff, but sometimes trying to get the picture in my head to show up on the page.
Yeah.
You know, he got to read the story, so he knew what it was about, and we kind of discussed what pictures we wanted for, you know, we broke the story up into pages and then what pictures for each page and everything. So it was one of those things that, you know, trying to get my picture, the publisher's picture in her head, and the artist's picture all on the same page.
Yeah.
So,
literally.
Yeah, literally. So that was, I think, the biggest challenge of the picture book.
Yeah.
You know, I know some children's picture book writers also do their own artwork, and I can draw okay, but no, this turned out so much better. It wouldn't have been half as good if I had tried to, you know, drawing. I enjoyed it. I did it as a kid, and I didn't do bad, but it would have never. Yeah.
I mean, and this has, like, just looking at the cover, you've got, as you've said, it's very vibrant, very detailed in, you know, if for those who can see, I don't know
Yeah.
if we get up close there,
Enough, yeah.
you can
it pretty
see
good.
like
Yeah.
there's a lot of detail going on there and a
Oh, yeah.
lot of colors that and stuff that
And
that
especially
really
getting
make
a
it pop.
wraparound cover
Yeah,
to where there's no break in it or anything else. Yeah. It's,
wraps.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Do you
mean,
want to?
yeah.
I mean, we can't get into the book.
No,
we can't get into the
no.
pictures yet, but can you read
I
the back?
can read the back.
Tell
Yeah.
us so that way we get
Get an idea.
Duncan
yeah.
the Dragon finds his fire.
All right. Duncan, a young dragon, longs to breathe fire like the rest of his classmates. But no matter how hard he tries, he can't do it. His mother reassures him his fire will come with time. But Duncan starts to lose hope. As he struggles to fit in with the other dragons, he can't shake the fear that he will never find his fire. Desperate for a solution, he turns to his family and friends for help. However, the harder they try to help, the more frustrated Duncan becomes. And now I'm trying to read through the
We
strip.
got the ball
Yeah.
right over the middle.
Will he ever be able to make his fire, or will he be and I can't even read the next line.
Will he be not for resale?
Yeah.
That's what it says.
Yeah. Anyway, jumping down in the next paragraph where you can
Will
read
he
again.
be a failure?
Yeah, will he
Essentially
be
what
a
we're getting
failure?
at with
Yeah. His heartwarming tale of family and friendship, perseverance is sure to gain the attention of dragon-loving readers, young and old. Join Duncan on his journey to discover his true potential and find his fire before it's too late. And I do want to mention Solander Press. I don't know how well you can see that. That is the publisher that I went through. And they have just been wonderful. They really have. So I recommend. They do a lot of children's books. So definitely, if you have little ones, if you're out there listening and have little ones, check out the Solander Press site. I believe it's solanderpress.com. But there's all kinds of great books that they've covered there. So yeah. So.
I was thinking while we with Duncan with Avenrand.
Avenrand.
No, that's
Kim.
the locket. That's Kim.
I was trying to
What's
think
your
Avenrand. Mine is it's the Gaffel Isles.
But what's the main
Avelina?
character? Avelina.
Avelina.
That's why.
That's why.
I was like,
Avelina.
I was like, but it's a town or it's the
Yeah,
place.
Avelina. She lives in the town of Thalador. So,
Okay.
yes.
With that, does that series have dragons in it?
Oh yes.
I was going to say we've talked about a couple different dragon story ideas.
Yes.
My
English dragon, proper English dragon. Yes.
Well, my question is, is Duncan, after he finds his fire, going to make any debut in?
Yeah. Well, the Forgotten series, which is the one, which is now up to 5 books in my mind. So instead of just 3, I'm up to 5. But
gotta be careful with that, right here.
Yeah,
things can explode.
Yeah, you're up to 14 now. Anyway, but no, it doesn't quite fit into the world the way Duncan's world is. Duncan's kind of it's
Magic
a dragon true.
Magic portals.
There you go. That's why you brought up the locket,
There you go.
It's a portal fantasy.
Duncan finds a locket.
Yeah.
Boop. Portal
There he
fantasy.
goes.
Now he's
but
he's there with Avelina.
Yeah. Actually, there will be some dragons in the first book. The second book, there's going to be a brand new hatchling dragon that is going to cause some comical relief and everything. Get my 2 main kids in trouble now and then.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't see a way they can cross as of now. You never know. Ideas always come up,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now, are the dragons in Avelina's story? Do they wear clothes?
No.
They're naked dragons.
They're naked dragons. Yeah. The kind of inside for your listeners and stuff is when we started the drawing, the kids all had clothes, but the parents or the adult dragons didn't. So that was kind of an ongoing thing.
They lived in a dragon nudist colony.
Yes, they did. But we got them all clothed in the book, especially gearing it towards children, although a naked dragon wouldn't be as bad as a naked adult. But, so we wanted to be consistent, definitely. Yeah. So,
well, I remember, you had shown me and we looked together at some of those some of the early things. And I'm like, they're cartoon. It's like Mickey Mouse. Yeah. Donald Duck,
Yeah. As long as you have a shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mickey only has shorts, so he doesn't really have a shirt. Yeah.
But, anatomically.
Yeah. But Donald Duck only has a shirt, so,
Yeah, exactly.
But it was consistency that we definitely wanted and everything. So, and they just turned out adorable, you know.
So what was the driver behind this story?
Well, it actually went back to BTP last year. I was one of the volunteers helping. I'm also the secretary on the board.
BTP, for those listening, Between the Pages is is it June?
Writers Conference in June.
In June. It's June every year, right?
Yeah. Usually the weekend before Father's Day.
Okay.
Is the way it goes.
Yeah, so Between the Pages, that's coming up again this June. Shout out, we'll throw that out there. You can look up
Between the Pages Writers Conference. Yeah. And you'll find it. Google it. So
okay. So last year,
I am on the board. I'm the secretary of the board, so I take the minutes, I make the name badges, I make the meal tickets, I do a lot of the prep work ahead of time, and then I help Candy, our Springfield Writers Guild president, with registration. And then they have other volunteers who will introduce the different speakers. Well, we had one gal who was supposed to introduce a speaker, and she I don't know if she didn't attend or if she wasn't able to do it for one reason or another. Oh. So I got asked to do it. And it was Meg. Oh goodness. Now I feel bad. I forgot her name. Anyway, she does some children's writing, but more middle grade stuff and everything. But I introduced her and everything else. And one of her things was a workshop and spitfiring ideas and writing them down. And one of those ideas was a little dragon who couldn't breathe fire. What if? It was kind of
you had that you just what if there's a dragon who can't breathe fire?
Exactly. And that was all I got to there. And then coming up to OCDW, Ozark Creative Writers Conference, which is in October every year in Eureka Springs. They have like 30 some contests every year. One of them was to write a story geared towards 3 to 8-year-olds. It would be either a picture book or a short story. Well, you can't really enter a picture book. You can only write the story. So I took that idea and expanded it, figured out what could it be. And so that's how it came about. And then, like I said, it won the contest. I took first place, and a cash prize and a nice little medal and all of that fun stuff. And then it caught the attention. The publisher who had, which was Solander Press, had sponsored the contest. Put up the prize money, all of that, had approached me and said she hadn't judged him, but another children's author had, and said that she could not stop raving about the story and that she would be happy to publish it. And so a few conversations transpired, and here we are. So,
What are we, 3 weeks away?
About 3 weeks. February 13th. So,
So, that's coming up really fast.
Yeah.
For a distribution perspective, does Solander have connections for distribution? Like, how is that? Do you know how that's going to work?
No, I'm still, this is my first experience, so I'm learning as I go.
You're figuring it all out.
And I'm thankful I had a press like Solander. They're an independent press. They they're not a vanity press, so I don't have to spend lots of money.
Yeah.
You know, of course I had to pay the artists, and I'm paying for the formatting and the you know, the typical things.
Yeah.
But you know, getting it all ready to go. But at the same time, you know, I don't have to buy copies from them. I can buy them. I retain all my rights. I retain all my royalties, everything.
Yeah.
Like, unlike if you went through a traditional publisher.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really felt comfortable with that because, you know, I've heard horror stories, you know, they change stuff on you without your permission. And,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want that. I like control, you know. So that's what we, you know, and so you know, we talked about it. They gave me all the ins and outs. Here's what you're going to have to do. Here's what we're going to do for you. Here's what it'll cost, you know, you know, all of that fun stuff. But, you know, yeah, they're doing promotion things for me, and I'm just posting them when they tell me to online for social media and stuff. She's got this new bot, and she's been telling me about it. Sochi or something along that line. I don't know, but it creates all these great posts for her and everything else. So she's has it creating posts for me and everything. So and she says it's helped her sales, so I can't complain there, you know, definitely.
Hey, those are the kind of, I mean, Jared and I had this conversation this morning because I sent out the request. We have the Writers Guild meeting next week, so I sent out the thing for next week, and I was like, this is trying to come up with just a brief description, a summary of these pages of stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's so tedious. So I was like, hey, Gemini.
There you go. Yeah.
It's off this webpage. I need a summary of this that's one paragraph long.
Well, I'll give you a little hint.
Spit out a summary, and I'm like, perfect.
Yeah. Well, since
I don't have to spend all my time trying to write this.
Well, you know, I'll give you a secret. Since you took over my position as vice president, which I was last year, what I did, because Candy does great summaries on the homepage of the Writers Guild. I would take my little snip and clip tool. I would copy it, paste it into the email, and send it out that way. So you're already doing more than I did. But it had all the details. It had the date. It had the time. It had what the speaker was speaking on and who the speaker was. It gave all the details that needed to be shared. So, but that's kind of how I did it.
That, you know, we've talked about those are the things that I like. I don't want AI to write my book for me.
Yes. Yeah.
I want AI to give me summaries and synopsis business communication, you know, where I'm like, I don't want to write all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to write it. Like, well, you worded this request wrong. So not the way we want it.
Yeah.
So we're going to reject your request.
Yeah.
Like, I write fiction books.
Not nonfiction. Yeah.
I write children. Duncan the Dragon finds his fire. We write stories like that. Not let me send you a proposal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, but no, that's why I usually just use the snipping tool and copy and paste, and it's pretty. And I mean, Candy does a great job with it on the website and everything. So that definitely works. But anyway, we
but they're using that though to get, like, from a promotional perspective at this point, it's all because we've got 3 weeks before the release.
Yeah.
And so at this point it's all getting the word out.
Yeah, getting the word out,
it's
building
AI tools,
up anticipation.
social media, blasting with.
Yeah, definitely.
As soon as it's available.
So, yeah.
So from an availability perspective, will it be on Amazon? Will it be for sale through the publishing house? Will it be like, where can people go to find
it? Yeah.
Where will people be able to go?
Well, we've uploaded it through KDP, so it will be available on Amazon as of February 13th. I assume first thing in the morning, you know, and then.
we tried to do that upload, and we had our release dates because we didn't realize.
Oh, it's GMT.
Yeah.
Their time is GMT. So we're like,
Oh,
we're gonna
wow.
have a big release, and then everybody was like,
Where's
"Where's the
it?
book? What's going on?" And then we looked, and we're like, "Oh, it's GMT time. It's wrong. Gosh darn it!"
You have to wait another hour.
Like we put it in all the
Yeah.
release, everything was gonna be in our time zone, but their information
was not
GMT. It's like the rocket inches.
Yeah.
Somebody did it in inches and somebody did it in centimeters,
Yeah,
and they
there
crashed
you
it
go.
into Mars.
But no, they're doing that. I also went through Ingram Spark to go wide.
Okay.
So it'll be available in paperback and hardcover. And then they will be available through Ingram Spark. I think that'll go to Barnes and Noble and a few others. So yeah. I'm pretty sure. I know Kindle, Amazon, definitely. That's a definite. But I think through Ingram Spark, there's a couple other places that they get it out there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then the paperback will be, you can go directly to Ingram Spark. You can go to lynncombs.com.
Yep.
And then directly to Amazon?
Yeah, directly to Amazon. If you buy it on another website, you can have it shipped to you, everything else. But I'm going to have an offer on my website where you can order a signed copy, and I will sign it and ship it directly to you that way.
Nice.
It will be a little bit more because then I'm paying the shipping, but it'll still be. So you'll have your choice. I'll have 2 buttons on my website, kind of like I did with my first book, A Pathway to Mystery and More, the anthology that has stories in. I had that on the website with 2 buttons. One will take you straight to Amazon to order it yourself.
Jared, can you put it right there?
Right up there.
Yeah, we talked about this before, but we didn't show it.
Yeah.
So
there we go. Yes. A Pathway to Mystery.
Whoops.
This was done by Sleuth Inc., one of the writers group locally, and I think it has about 20 authors, and I've got 2 short stories in it. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
we talked about this before, but didn't get to show it.
Yeah. So I did the same thing with this book, where one button that says Amazon takes you straight to Amazon. You can order it, get it sent to yourself, the whole bit. But a second button for a signed copy. And the only downside about this one is I'll sign it, but it won't be signed by all the artists.
No, you could be like, and for a premium, here's the premium with all of the have all the different authors.
I should get a couple. I've got 1 copy of that I've kept for myself, but yeah, getting a couple more might be worth something there.
If you can get them all, be like,
sign.
Hey, we're gonna have this special meeting, and then when they get there, be like, all right, guys, here's this box of books, sign them, assembly line it.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to get a link on our site for people to get signed copies.
Yeah, that takes work.
Well, I
need to do that. Yes.
I did it as a jot form, basically, where they could fill it out, and then I put a link to the form on the button, and then I connected my PayPal account, so the payment goes through PayPal, and then I get a copy of the form and a copy of the order and everything, and then I usually have it out within a couple days at the most. So nice. Depending on when it comes in, and So, but yeah, I thought I'd give that option. Linda Apple, I don't know if you've ever met her. She's part of OCW, Ozark Creative Writers.
The name doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, okay. Well, she has a Scottish Terrier, and Winston the dog, and Winston has a lot of stories. Children's books like this.
Yeah.
But one thing she did that I thought was so neat is she's got a stamp. So when she signs a book, she also of Winston's paw.
Oh, nice.
And so she stamps Winston's paw on the book, so Winston signed the books too.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool. And she actually did mold the dog's foot and everything else, and the dog wasn't happy about that.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure that went over well.
I think that is the neatest thing. I saw her there at OCW stamping. I'm like, what's the stamp for?
Yeah.
And they're for her Winston book, so he's signing as well.
I want to get. I've seen you can get them made custom, but they're the embossing things that
Yes.
like it's like what they use for Notary Public.
Yes. Yeah.
But instead of Notary Public, it can be dragons or
yes.
you
Exactly.
know, for our 8-pointed star for the world,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Oh yeah, that would be neat. That would be
like,
neat.
I have this embossing tool that I'm actually, now I just thought of it, I'm gonna have to do it to take to work with me, and that way for people around me at work that when they're like, hey, we need this paperwork or whatever, I'm gonna have one that is a middle finger and be like,
there you go.
Give that to
you
them.
can order those on Amazon. I've actually looked into them.
I've looked at them, but I haven't dug into like, okay, how do you set up the design? Is it, can you get multiple, you know, inserts to swap them out or anything like that? I just haven't gone down that pathway yet.
Yeah. But the other thing I looked at for my hand signed copies and when I ship them out, you know, those old wax seals that they used to do in the Middle Ages, you know, to seal something. You can get those with wax to do it. And I thought, what a neat thing to put on the envelope that the book is in and everything else is the wax seal it shut. And, you know, I've looked into those.
Again, wax seal, middle finger.
Yeah. But I thought, you know, what a neat idea too. So those are some of the things that have been running in the head. And
well, it's funny, like little things like that you're like, it's just wax and you're putting it in. But those little details, little intricacies, stuff like that,
they stand out.
Yeah, they stand out, and it just adds another level of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And engagement.
Yeah.
To whatever it is you're doing.
You know, little things like that. I think of how can I be different? Like with Between the Pages, they always do the swag. You know, and I've always put things in. But, you know, everybody puts a bookmark in or a pen or something. So I try and do something different. The first year I did it, I did little writer survival kits. And it had a pen to keep writing and a paper clip to hold it all together and a rubber band for when you're at your wit's end, you know, or, you know, it had a little saying and everything with it. And I think a mint to keep your writing fresh and a lifesaver when you had writer's block, you know, little things. It was cute. I've got a really neat idea. I don't know if I want to share right now, but I'll be back on and share after.
Okay.
But
so the idea I had that we're probably thinking along the same lines here is a switchblade.
Oh, nope.
Just checking.
So,
you don't want to...
No. Well,
like,
okay.
Cut through through writer's block with a butterfly knife, and you can have Lynn Combs engraved on the blade.
Well, you know those big car window shades that you can twist and they fold down to a little circle? I found fans that are that way. Little hand fans, you know, and it always gets hot in those rooms and everything. And then I'm gonna have something put on them, and
nice.
So, there you go. I let it out of the bag.
But you didn't have to do. Yeah. That's not an idea. You didn't hear that.
But you know, last year I did these erasers with a
I have.
Yeah.
Somewhere
the only mistake you can't erase is the one you haven't written or something along that line. Yeah, on it, and those were cute. But I like to think differently, you know. So everybody does pens, everybody does the bookmarks, and those are good. But well,
that's what I found is everybody. I mean, if there's a pen opportunity to take a pen, everybody will take a pen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But.
And you never know.
Does anybody ever look?
No, probably
who's actually on the pen?
Rarely.
Maybe if you're stealing it.
Maybe.
But you know, and the panels just say, "I'm a fan of LynnCombs.com." You know, so play on words. So so those will be in there this year. So if you want to get one, come to the conference.
Yes.
Yeah. Between the Pages. So.
So looking for, you had said this year you want to try to get a couple more books out.
Well, one more
at least one more book out. Are you thinking yet about there's going to be any other Duncan books or any other, not necessarily a series of Duncan does this, then he, but
yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I hadn't planned on doing a picture book. That wasn't in my plan at all. It just kind of fell into place. But, it was easy. I mean, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You still got to write the story. It's still got to be a good story and something that's going to engage kids, everything else. And then you have the artwork and all of that.
Yeah.
But, it really was... It's something I'm thinking about. I could probably easily do at least one children's book a year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there will be any more Duncan ones, but,
Well, I guess the question more of Duncan books or children's books in general. Has this sparked any other ideas of, well, I did this picture book about Duncan the Dragon. Now I'm going to do like... this story about the little Cyclops girl, and the story about the little...
Well, I started thinking, okay, he can't breathe fire. And then I started thinking about a frog who couldn't croak.
Yeah.
Croak as in ribbit, not croaking.
Yeah. Like, I think there's a video game about that.
What other things, I don't know. So it's possible. Nothing official yet, but it has been considered, and maybe.
So more to come there, possibly in the children's book world.
Definitely. So yeah.
So give us an update on, and I know it's been a couple months since we've talked, and even then you were focused. You had a pretty good focus on Duncan.
Yeah.
Story. How are things coming with Avelina?
Well, like I was telling you earlier, a lot of people participate in NaNoWriMo, National November Writers Month.
Yeah.
And that's a nationwide and I think even worldwide program where writers challenge themselves to do 50,000 words in the month of November. Well, Sleuth Inc. does a similar thing, but they wait till January to do it. And they do that for a couple reasons. One, there's 31 days instead of 30, so you get an extra day.
Yeah.
Two, the holidays are done. In November, you're going into Thanksgiving, you're going into the Christmas season, so you've got a lot of commitments in November and everything, especially getting towards the end and the beginning of December.
Yeah.
And, January's cold. I mean,
it's cold.
You don't want to be outside. You don't want to go in.
Tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah, you'd rather stay inside where it's warm and comfortable. So why not take that time to write?
Yeah.
So every year they do Jano, their kind of variation of the NaNoWriMo. And I did it first time 2 years ago. I started late in the month, so I only had about 10,000 words. Not everybody makes the 50,000. Last year I did about 20,000. I doubled it, so I thought that was an improvement. So right now I'm at 24 something thousand. So I've already beat last year and we still got half a month to go. So that's good. But in prep for it, you can prep anything for it, but you can't write till January 1st.
You can't count any of the words.
You can do, except and if you're continuing a project like I did, you have to mark your word count and then just go from then on, But, I don't know if last time we talked, I was stuck on that one place. There's an important conversation that Avelina has with the Oracle Elastia.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
That's where we were before.
Yes.
Because you said you were stuck on that before, but you couldn't focus on it.
Because
Duncan. You have a children's book
and I was still stuck on it after this got going enough that I could go back. And so what I did was in prep for Jano, I kind of ignored that conversation and I started writing just a couple sentences for the next, I think I've got 30 chapters planned out with just a couple sentences each. So that way, when I started writing for Jano, I could just keep going. I wouldn't get stuck. And I finally decided, because I know that conversation is going to be pivotal. And I do have to reveal some things. but I kept going back and forth. That's too much to reveal. That's not enough to reveal. And what can she learn later? So I finally just wrote in all capitals and highlighted in yellow, conversation with Elisha. And I made a couple bullet points of a few things that I think we need to cover. And then I just said, okay, they've had that conversation. What's happening next? And so I've started writing from that point on. And then later on, as I reveal things, then I can go back and say, okay, I didn't reveal this, this, or this. Those need to come out of this conversation.
Yeah.
And I can rewrite that. I can write that conversation then. So since then, I have gotten several chapters done. Yeah. And they're going good. I've already got her out on her quest, and ahead, she gets ahead of the guard who's after her because Dad finds out she's missing and they're trying to bring her back because of the danger. But she's still trying to do what she is supposed to do for her quest. And, there's some close calls. There's some close calls with the big bad. And he's made an appearance finally. Ooh, I gave that away.
Whatever the big bad
whatever the big bad is. Has shown up. He did show up early on, but it was just a brief little encounter and you never know it from there. But now you see some of his sinister moves and everything else. And I mean, in his mind, he's one of those redeemable villains. He thinks he's doing this for the greater good.
Yeah.
But he's going about it the wrong way, definitely, and causing a lot of chaos and destruction in his wake.
Yeah.
I have now introduced my comic relief in this. One of her upcoming traveling companions is a very interesting character. He's part of a large, very prominent human family.
Mm-hmm.
She's an elf, so we have elves and dwarves and all of that. And she thinks she's getting help from this prominent family. Oh, we're going to give you one of our brothers. He's great. They're known for their tactical. They're known for being this great family and helpful. And she finds out she was stuck with
she was stuck with, wait a minute.
Yeah. She was stuck with the not so great brother.
It's Cousin Larry.
Yeah.
What's the Steve Martin movie where he grew up, he was like he grew up raised by a black family. No, there's the jerk, and then there's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Mm-hmm. But then there's also I can't think of the movie. He grew up like with a black family and then didn't the whole thing is it's kind of a play on racial differences and stuff like that, where he doesn't have any rhythm, he can't sing, he can't dance, he can't do any of this stuff, but
the typical stereotypes.
He doesn't know he's adopted.
Yeah.
I know it was great, but it's Steve Martin.
Jerk.
Is it the jerk?
Yeah, I thought so.
Is it?
I don't know, I haven't seen that one.
I didn't know that.
Maybe if we're wrong, you can write in and let us know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That character.
Yes. And I mean, he is so the opposite of what his family is known for and drives Avelina absolutely bonkers. The dwarf that's traveling with him has to stop her from throwing her throwing knives at him. You know, because he just, she's ready to kill him. Doesn't know anything about stealth, doesn't know anything about anything, you know, gives him away, you know, makes a fool of himself. Yeah. So it's been some fun times writing. Yeah. So, they have just picked him up where I'm at now. So, but yeah, it's, and the dwarf that's traveling with her as well is very important because he recognizes her magical abilities. In the beginning of the book, and I don't know if you remember when I've shared that part when we've done critiques and stuff, how she's feeling, she's feeling like she doesn't fit in, she's useless, she doesn't know how she's gonna fit in as an adult elf in the community and everything. And all of that. And she's jealous of her little brother who is sure of his place. And, he knows what his talents are, but she tries clothing making and she has to be cut out of a web of thread and fabric and all kinds of fun stuff. So, she's got that unassured, but he notices it and her real abilities and starts to bring it in them traveling together. He starts to bring it out in her. So, there's some growth there and everything else. And so
in everything you've done or we just talked through so far, that's all book 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Book 1 is done like Princess Bride. 2 children specifically are hearing the story of Avelina's adventures. And the purpose of that is by the end of the book, they have opened their eyes to magic in our regular world because I'm doing low fantasy. And so that brings about book 2 where they have started using magic outside the cursed Gefell Isles, and that catches
it's the characters.
Yes,
from the characters who are being told the story in book 1.
Yeah,
that are now continuing forward in book 2.
And so they are starting to use magic, which catches the eye of the big bad, and he doesn't want that. That's going to ruin his plans.
Yeah,
he is trying to contain magic with the curse and everything, so he can further his plot.
So that begs the question, did Fred Savage go become the Dread Pirate Roberts at some point?
Exactly. Exactly. But and that's book 2 then. They're on the run. These 2 kids are on the run from all the stuff the big bad's sending at them. And then by the end of book 2 they find themselves on the Gefell Isles, and that's when they have to finally break the curse. So, and then I always thought about doing a prequel, how the big bad became the big bad, what happened in his life that made him take this path, or he felt he had to take this path. So that's a 4th book, and then I started thinking about it. Because it takes place on our world and everything else. Well, what if all of a sudden these magic did exist in our world?
Yeah.
How would people treat it? Plus, now you're opening their eyes to, griffins, dragons, unicorns, all these mythical creatures are now proven to exist.
Yeah.
And you got to think, hunters, how great, big game hunters type thing. They want to go bag a dragon or a unicorn or something,
I mean, that's the knights, the stories of knights with swords.
Yeah.
Much less, I got a Barrett.
Yeah.
Cal.
Yeah, exactly. And then also think about magic, how many governments would want to get their hands on it, weaponize it, that kind of stuff. So that's what kind of came about for the 5th book is how do then I go back and protect all of this?
Yeah.
Do I need to rehide it? Do I need to, how do I go about it? So that isn't fully worked out yet, but, it started me thinking that could be another book.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the magic, just having magic within worlds, that aspect of how would things be different? What would happen? And I'm like, you look at the Harry Potter series and the Ministry of Magic gets taken over by the Death Eaters,
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like starting to push out into the Muggle world and reveal magic and everything. And based on the story, like magic has been kind of contained.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, it still makes for a good story, but look at the reality of the world history.
Yeah.
Now take that world history and apply people that are getting into power can also just say like
hocus pocus.
Yeah, and you're dead.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Just equate it to a true magic, which is technology.
Yeah.
The more we have technology, the more it's used, but the more it's
misused or abused. Yeah.
Yeah. And most frequently it's misused and abused for the greater good.
Yeah.
You know, and
Quote
and
unquote.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
That's the stones in the Marvel universe of, well, I'm gonna send 50% of all the population of every universe that I'm aware of, eliminate them for the greater good.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we like telling stories and hearing stories about people that are altruistic and heroic and brave.
Yeah.
Most frequently the villains that we read about, like I would equate most of the time those villains, like, they exist today, they just don't have the magic.
Yeah.
But they are they're in positions of power.
Oh, definitely.
So what would happen if all of a sudden
you've got all these things. Now
I have
you have
access to, you know, teleportation, and I can call lightning from the sky, and I could do all of these things.
We already have how many nukes, enough to blow the world up how many times, you know? Think about it with magic, you know, same type of thing, you know, who's going to get the bigger and badder thing to quote unquote keep the peace, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be introduced like that direction that you're going of, you know, that pathway that you're going down of the world, in our world, your characters are going to discover or rediscover something about magic.
Yeah.
But the rest of the world doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
What would happen in a world where all of a sudden all of that does exist?
Yeah. And that's how I was ending the trilogy, that it is back opened up to the world. And I thought, oh, that would be great. And then I started thinking more, and would it?
Yeah.
Would it really be a good thing?
Yeah.
Now what do I got to do? You know, what do I do now? So I've kind of created a problem. Now I need to fix it. So hence book 5, you know. I mean, 4 was always going to be a prequel. You know, the main story was a trilogy, and then 4 was going to be a prequel.
Yeah.
But
is
now
5 going to be rebottling the genie?
Kind of, yes. Yeah. That's the general direction I'm thinking, is kind of closing it off and protecting it.
Yeah.
Maybe not totally closing it off, but definitely protecting it.
Yeah.
Putting something together, be it a new, not a curse in the negative sense like it is now, but a curse in the way of protection, you know, and blocking that off and keeping it. And that's why those islands are still medieval level tech. You don't have cell phones, you don't have all of that, because they've been blocked off from the world. Since about medieval times. You know, they existed beforehand, but the original curse was cast around that time. So that's the technology they had. And of course, with magic and stuff, things are going to progress beyond just medieval times. So they're going to have some things that they didn't have back then. But, you know, any world, no matter what, you're going to progress. You know, but it's still going to be very medieval like. So, yeah.
So that's...
But they're going to have running water.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Yeah, I was trying to figure out that one, but yeah. But, you know, yeah.
They had...
Yeah. Well, ancient Rome had running water.
Yeah,
anyway,
I was trying to...
Yeah.
Trying to remember. I just read a thing just this past week. I can't remember where it was, though, where they developed a water system that included like lift pumps and things like that, but it was all using, you know, gravitational forces and early study of how hydraulics work and differential
I didn't want to research all that
and all that stuff.
so mine's dwarven rune magic. So
well, I mean, it had like, they had a spiral thing, and it was they had like a lever. I don't remember how long. That they had donkeys, and they would just swap the teams out, and they would run this this thing that just rotated 24/7.
Isn't that ancient Rome or
it was,
Greece or
yeah, it was somewhere,
one of those
it was somewhere
in that area, the Mediterranean.
In the Mediterranean region. But I'm like, it was really like they didn't have a textbook to go figure. They just figured out
definitely
how to come up with. Well, we have this shaft going down, and the donkeys are going to walk and turn the shaft, and it's going to create this spiral effect and lift this water, and it'll create this pressure differential effect that then makes water flow, and then we have a fountain. See, we have water spraying out of the fountain down here.
Yeah, no, mine's going to be a butt magic situation, you know. So I didn't want to go into that much detail and that much research, but I mean, there's always research
because I'm Batman.
Yeah,
that's the answer.
One of the fun things I kind of ran into in my writing, though, Eldrin, who is the high elf of the elven tribe and everything, and of course Aveline is his daughter. One of his things is going to be out playing a game with the elders, you know, and his wife's not going to approve, of course. But so I am actually creating this game. I've been looking at ancient games and board games and stuff, and so, you know, and my son's been helping with the research. I love it. I've got my own research assistant. But I'm like, go do this and give me a summary type. You know, he does the summary. But yeah, and we're taking some aspects from everything from Risk and chess and ancient shogi and Go and a few others, and I am coming up with a game. And I thought, you know, if this got big enough, I could sell it to Hasbro or something, you know, Parker Brothers or something, you know.
So in our book, we have our characters.
Yeah, they play a game called Pitch.
Oh, okay.
But we haven't developed it in any way.
Oh, yeah, I started thinking about it. Yeah.
I mean, we talked in book 2, we have like some of the pieces, descriptions, and how it's a strategic.
Yeah, this one's going to be a strategy game and everything. And I figured it out. It'll be 2 to 6 players. And, you know, so Eldrin's wife, whenever she needs him, he's going to be off in the town square playing with the other elders. And that's going to be a source of annoyance. But, you know, it's been kind of fun coming up with this game. And
now you know why Tolkien was like, I'm going to write a whole language.
Yeah. I don't know. Language may not be as fun, but, you know, I could see the appeal. So I'm thinking, hey, I could sell this game. And, you know, and then my son's throwing his ideas in and I'm throwing mine in, and we're like, no, how would that work? And I'm also thinking about how would that work to a game for real people, you know? And, you know, would it be possible? Because he was having weather conditions attack the game. And I'm like, I don't know that you can do that. You know, you're in the desert area and you hit a sandstorm. Okay, you can have a card that says you lose a turn. I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But how do you know?
You have a card that says you hit a sandstorm, you're buried, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations.
You know, but I thought almost an electronic board, and maybe you know, because I've got colored squares, there's 6 different colors around, and then a white center, and the white center is kind of neutral, and you start with one of the colors, and depending on if you're playing 2 people, you have 1 on each side. If you have 3, you have, and they're attachable, so you can change the colors around and everything else.
Yeah.
Anyway, and of course there's magic, so whatever color you pick, it just magically turns that color. But I figured, you know, you could do
just
that.
Just invent magic.
Yeah.
And we can use that in our world too.
Yeah. Then we have the same problem as my last book. But no, you know, I thought, okay, so we have a lighted board or something, and that would work, you know. But yeah, you know, and I thought, well, what if all of a sudden a section of the board went dark? You know, if you're on the desert some, you just hit a sandstorm. Well, that is dead now.
Yeah.
You know, and it would randomly go dark. You know, so it's definitely going to be a strategy game. So I'm playing with that, and You know, I'm trying not to focus on it too much right now because I'm trying to get those 50,000. Because I could sit there and spend all day, you know, okay, how would this world work? What would be, you know,
which is more critical?
Yeah.
Create the game or write the
book.
entire story in which the game is a piece.
Yeah. A very small piece, you know. So, you know, I have enough to say, you know, I have enough in my mind or enough of it created to say, you know, it's a strategy game and it uses some magic, and when you capture other person stones, they magically change color, and, you know, little things like that. There's a few things I've got that way. So, you know, it's not totally, I've got enough that I could start writing again, but it's like you get focused and then tunnel vision.
Yeah. And it's hard to not go down those rabbit holes sometimes. I mean, there's some chapters that we started writing where we started just the game pitch. Like it's not vetted out and just, you know, we don't have all the things.
Yeah.
But just trying to describe, okay, the character is playing pitch and she's thinking through strategy and it's relating to something else that's going on in her life. And then you're like, well, I can't just leave it too vague.
Yeah.
You know, I can't just be like, she was playing a game and she was moving pieces around.
Yeah.
Like, well, I could do that if I was boring
Yeah.
or pathetic. I mean, there's plenty of authors that do that, I guess. But like, if it fits that level of detail of your story,
you need it.
You need it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just enough. So Wheel of Time, they play stones and they play snakes and foxes.
Yeah.
Well, both of those games are integral to, like, there's a history of stones that go all the way back to prior to the breaking of the world. And the version of stones that they play is like a dumbed down version compared to what it was prior to the breaking of the world. Mm-hmm. Well, unless, you know, without Robert Jordan thinking through that and what is the actual gameplay of stones and how could you have such a strategic game of placing just white and black stones on a board that would mean this? Or how can...
That almost sounds like Go.
Yeah, or snakes and foxes. How can you play this game of snakes and foxes and never be able to win without cheating? Yeah. You know, but it fits right in with, that's the only way to win against the elephant and an elephant. You got to cheat.
But yeah, so I've come across that, and I think I've got enough that I got to tell myself, okay, this is a project for later, and this will happen, but I've got enough that I can continue writing. Yeah. You know, right now. And that's kind of one of the things is, especially with fantasy, and I think fantasy authors run in, we do things that don't exist. Yeah. So we got to figure out the right level of explanation. You've got to put some of that in there, description or explanation. You can't just say...
You can't be like, they were playing checkers.
Yeah. Most people know what checkers is. And, you know, it's a common enough game that, you know... But here, you've got to give it more detail. And so you got to know what you're talking about, or the fans will call you out on it. Yes. Definitely.
That's why you either have to know everything about it or nothing.
Exactly.
And you're just like, they got on a boat.
Yeah.
And it went across the water.
Well,
like, well, what kind of boat was it? I don't know. There's like 500 people in there. Well, that's more of a ship. Ship, boat, whatever.
Well, see, I did mine. I've got Avelina on a ship right now, and I've flashed back to the kids. But I started doing research. And I knew I wanted the ships or boats, large boats, to be mostly cargo, but also take on passengers, a few. Yeah. And so I finally, after doing research, I figured my ships are all cog style ships. Mm-hmm. And so there's a small passenger quarters, you know, that 10 to 15 passengers, not a lot, but most of it's a cargo ship. Yeah. And everything. So I had to do some research on that and figure out, you know, because I knew I couldn't just say a boat and leave it at that, or a ship, and, you know.
I will say, I think in the fantasy world, there are writers who talk about ships who they know all they know like this ship is this long and here's the exact capacity and everything. But I think I think there's a lot of leeway taken in general.
Oh yeah.
People don't really know about ships.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's some terms, port and stern.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Foredeck and aft and
I put bow and aft.
There's a mainsail.
Yeah. Well, cog styles usually only have one sail.
Yeah.
So that made it easy. And I didn't want anything huge where it has like 5 sails or something big. But even if you just said like sails and ropes and rigging. Yeah.
That's like, I think for most.
But I also took a bit of a Viking twist on it. So it does actually have oar ports.
Gotcha.
So they use the oars to get out of the harbor into the open ocean, and then they pick up the sail and go from there. So it's mostly a sailboat, but it does have oars. And so I went more towards Viking style cog ships.
Yeah. And so it's not a deep water vessel.
No. And it just stays around the 2 islands there, the Gefell Isles. So, and like I said, it's trapped in about medieval times. So, those were around during that. So I do a lot of research on medieval history and stuff to stay kind of true to it, and then I can advance it where I need to, because of course it wouldn't stay in that state. It would advance in its own way. But it doesn't have electricity. It doesn't have some of those inventions that came on later on in the outside world. So, as far as that goes, but yeah. And, of course, my elves are very natural based. They have a little bit of Native American, a little bit of Druid, a little bit of kind of a combination. So I had Aveline out on her quest, and I realized when I had her booking passage on the ship, all of a sudden she had to have money because the humans dealt money.
Yeah.
Well, where'd she get the money? Because I already explained that elves don't use money.
Yeah.
Everybody works for the better. You have the hunters, they bring in the food. Everybody gets food. Everybody gets, the skins or the clothing or whatever. They need something. They go into the clothing shop and just order it and they get it, and everybody does for everybody else. And so I had to go back to before she left and explain how the elves do have a treasury because they do sell outside. When they interact with the humans and they sell extra goods or extra produce, whatever, to the humans, get the money. And then when the elves go out on their quest, it's kind of like a Native American walkabout or something, and that's their passage into adulthood. They grow up, they learn from the storyteller to begin with, and then they apprentice with all the guilds, and the Elven Guard, they're trained, everything else, and then they kind of graduate, and then they go on their quest, they come back, and they're now a productive adult.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started thinking about it. Where'd this money come from? So I had to go back and explain that the elves do deal with the humans and they do deal in money that way, but they just leave it in the treasury. And then when an elf goes on their quest, they're given a sack of money, and that way they can pay for what they need. And, and they're taught in kind of a cultural history type thing through the storyteller, humans do things this way, and and the fairies do things this way, and the dwarves do things, so they've learned about the different communities on the islands and everything. So she's got this knowledge, and that helped. I had to go back and add some of that because if she's been in this elven village her whole life, how would she know all this, know?
Yeah, we've had to do, so many times where we're like, wait a second. We just had her. Tawara just did this. Yeah. But especially now, it's really hard because we're like, well, book 1's already out.
Yeah.
She can't do that now.
Yeah. So I've kind of laid the foundation. So if anything else comes up, I can revert back to that was part of her upbringing, education type thing. So I kind of left that open enough there that if she needs to absolutely know something, she knows it because of this. There's a valid,
like this one teacher
did
happen to mention this at one time,
exactly. So that gave us, that gave me an out for some of that, because I got her to the human village where she's going to go into the harbor and everything and book passage to get to the other island. Because the first thing she has to do on her quest is let the dragons know there was a stolen dragon egg.
Yeah.
And Alashta tells her that she saved the egg, but nobody knows what happened to it. Even Alashta, because of her weakened state and everything, doesn't know, where she sent it.
Yeah. But
it has been saved from the clutches of the big bad who took it. So, you do find out later. But anyway, at this point, she has to deliver that message. That's part of, most of the time, Alashta, once you've graduated, basically, school and training and everything, she calls you and sends you on a quest. Elves can request a quest, if they have something, and that's what she does, but she adds to it and says you need to carry this message to the dragons.
Yeah.
And so that's where she's headed now, and to let them know that Alashta says the egg is safe. So, and they all trust her, being the oracle and the heart of all magic, everything. So that's gonna stop the dragons from attacking the humans.
Yeah.
Who assume they took it, So anyway,
I think the last portion that I read with you was in that.
Yeah.
She was going to Alashta.
Yeah.
And you had that conversation partially
done. Yeah, that's where. Yeah.
Said like, here's the direction I gotta go. And I'm like, yeah.
That was a stuck one, because Alashta's gonna have to reveal a couple things.
Yeah.
So, but Alashta, she goes with her own idea of what, Avelina has her idea of what she wants to do on this quest. She thinks she's going to help and solve everybody's problems, young and idealistic. So she's going to find the cure that all the adults couldn't find, and she's going to take care of it all, which is going to get her into a lot of trouble, of course. And then she has companions to help her with that. Actually, I'm thinking one of Alashta's daughters, one of the dryads, is gonna make home in Avelina's bow and cause a lot of problems. Likes to turn her arrows into flowers,
Yeah.
Something, some more comic relief, I'm kind of thinking about that, and a few other things. But yeah, it's definitely gonna go, and but she's trying to get to the dragons right now to deliver that message is where I'm at. And then of course she's got all kinds of obstacles that come in her way, and
your goal, this one, is you want to get book 1 done by the end
and out by the end of the year. Yeah, that's the biggest writing goal right there.
Yeah.
The other thing is I was kind of spoiled for Christmas, and I got one of those ink writing tablets. So when I was a little girl, I'd go spend summers with my aunt and one of my dad's sisters, and her daughter would journal every day.
Yeah.
And talk about stuff and everything else. And my cousin has since passed. That's not the one that just passed, but a few years back. Anyway, my aunt has said how her old journals have been so comforting and everything, and they always encouraged me when I was there to do it, but didn't force me. And I kind of wish they pushed a little harder, and I kind of wished I did, because I'm thinking, especially being a military brat living overseas, and some of the things that have happened to me there and everything else, it was one of those things that, how much of this could I use? I remember a lot of things, but how much have I forgotten? And so I've been wanting to start a journaling, and so with the tablet and keeping organized and everything, I said that's something, and I'm pushing myself to do a little bit every day, even if it's just a short paragraph. It's something.
Yeah.
So but you never know when that
in the story of The Importance of Being Earnest.
Mm-hmm.
When, what's her name? Her name, I had it left. The ward, Jack's ward.
Yeah.
When she has her little journal and she's like, one should always keep something interesting to read when you're traveling.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, and it's just little things, you know, that just stand out, and you never know when they're going to come up. I mean, I'm putting a little of myself in Evelina. I'm putting a little, and the other series that I think I've told you about, well, I'm just calling it the Grandma series now. But I've got Nana, who's a very rich philanthropist. I can never say that right. Yeah. But anyway, you know, she's a hoot. You missed it. We did the Zoom meeting for speculative fiction in December.
Yeah.
Oh, we all came as our characters. I came as Nana. Oh, I had so much fun with that. If I was a crazy old, I don't know if you can say batshit, but she's this crazy woman, but is the sweetest thing. But she gets into all kinds of trouble and gets everybody else into trouble. If I was a rich, crazy old lady, she's who I would be.
That's who you'd be.
Yeah. You know, and she's not all that old. I've actually got her about my age, you know, and I'm older than I look, of course, but anyway, but it's one of those things that, you know, she's the one I would be if I could, you know, if I didn't have to worry about a 9-to-5 job, if I didn't have bills to pay, if I was so rich that I couldn't spend enough to make, you know, ever make a deficit, you know. Yeah.
I wonder, just what you were saying sparked a thought. Just, I wonder how many authors write stories of, like, there's always a little bit of, you're interjecting a little bit of yourself here, a little bit of yourself there, but how many of them write, if I could be a character, I'm just going to write a story about the character that I would want to be.
And that's what I'm doing with Nana. I'm going to have her
we're just telling a story. I don't think there's any.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we're interjecting some of our personality.
Oh, of course.
You can't not do that. But I don't think there's any of, like, I'm going to write this. If I could just be a fantasy character, this is who I would be.
Yeah.
But I thought you wanted to be an elven princess.
Maybe. Sometimes I probably think about that a little bit.
Yeah. But, you know, I thought of her and she just is really, I mean, if I didn't have anything to worry about, I mean, I'm talking about she's going to go spend a week setting up a children's hospital in Africa, and she's going to come back wearing nothing but tribal garb, you know, and, you know, little things like that. And she's just eccentric. I even have one idea where she's on this pirate cruise in an old-fashioned wooden pirate boat and everything else. And she's going to be upset that she can't, you know, because they're going to have a second pirate ship come up and do a mock battle and everything. And she's going to be upset because she can't put the cutlass in her teeth and swing over to the other ship. And, you know, she's like, what kind of battle is this? Don't you got to board the other ship? You know,
you could always have her be like, like, hey, I saw this once. And then,
here
you go.
Exactly. You know, but she's going to be that kind of character, and I'm having fun with her. And of course she's going to, that's in my, well, she's going to make an appearance in the Grandma series, but she's also in my Cozy Mystery series. She's a big part of that one. I'm going to have some crossovers in some of my books. So, I may even hint that she's been to the Geffel Isles, you know?
Like,
I
met a little dragon.
Yeah, there you go.
I gave his parents some clothes so they wouldn't be naked.
Exactly. But no, she's going to cross over definitely, and there's just definitely going to be some. My stories, a lot of them, because they take place low fantasy here on Earth, and you know, so there are going to be a lot of crossovers. Don't know quite how Duncan's going to fit into that, but a lot of them are going to have crossovers. Like my chocolate lab named Chip, you know, he's already made one appearance and he's going to make a few more. So, and then I think I'll write the life and times of Chip and all of his adventures, you know, from his perspective. So, Now I got to get me a chocolate lab named Chip, so I can add him on Facebook and everything.
Make a paw print.
Make a paw print, yeah. But no, it's definitely been fun. But that's the fun part of being a writer. You can do whatever you can imagine. So
yeah,
you do have to make it plausible. You can't go way off.
I don't know. There's some out there that like, I don't know about this.
Yeah. I do try and keep it at least plausible, like the Duncan the Dragons movie, but magic. No, it doesn't work that way. You gotta have some rules to it. So, I do have a couple but magic, but moments, but
yeah. And it's okay. Those few moments where if the character doesn't understand, and their whole answer is, oh, it's because of magic. Yeah. Well, that's okay. They don't understand. And so you as the reader have to, only get to know at your character's level.
Exactly. So. Exactly. But magic isn't a cure-all though.
Yes. No, it would be nice.
Yes. Yes.
But it's kind of like in our world, common sense.
Yes.
If only it fixed everything.
Yeah.
If only we could just say, but common sense.
Exactly.
But, oh, well.
Yeah.
Maybe someday somebody will actually discover magic and we'll find out, well, what does it mean?
Yeah.
But magic.
But magic. Yeah, no, I try and keep things plausible,
Yeah.
Plausible plus maybe a little baby step beyond.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. You can you can stretch plausibility, but don't wad it up and throw it in the trash.
Yeah. It is.
That's when I put it down.
It will snap. Gosh. Yeah. Plausibility will snap once you stretch it too far. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on today.
Oh,
it's been
definitely. Fun. Yeah.
So again, let's jump back over here again. Duncan the Dragon finds his fire.
February 13th. Amazon, and at least Amazon. I think Barnes and Noble too.
Looks like it'll also be available on Solander Press. It's already up on their coming soon.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I hadn't checked it today, so that must be new.
Is it solanderpress.com?
Yeah. Solander Press. Yeah.
Okay. We weren't sure of the website earlier.
Yeah.
On, so.
And then it'll also be on my website, lynncombs.com. Also announcements, teasers, watch for little bits on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or X at author Lynn Combs. So, yeah.
Yeah. So all the things that's coming out just a few weeks away.
Yes. Exciting.
And you said you've got a couple other potential place you're going to go and talk to about the books coming out.
Oh, definitely. And I do want to reach out to the local schools, see if I can't get in there, and or libraries, do readings that way. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Keep us informed of any events or anything, and follow Lynn. Go find her on all the places.
Yeah.
Keep track. Maybe, see if you have kids.
Hey, yeah.
Put in a word there of, hey, we want this local author to come and read her story.
Yes.
To the kids at our school.
Definitely.
So, put in those plugs and.
Yep. And you can email me at authorlynncombs@gmail.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
Reach out to your school, send a message to Lynn, and see if she can come and read to your kids when the book comes out.
Yep.
So February 13th, that'll be on its way. And then later this year, hopefully.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
That's the goal. Yep.
That book 1 will be out.
Yep. The Forgotten series. Revealing Magic is the first one.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So keep an eye on that one as well. And we'll be rooting for you, and if that comes out, we'll have you back on then too.
Yeah,
hey,
definitely.
More big news.
Actually, all 5 books are an R word and magic.
Yeah.
So and it's called the Forgotten series. So yeah.
So author Lynn Combs or lynncombs.com.
Lynncombs.com
for updates on that. To see when book 1 of the Forgotten series will be available.
Definitely. So it's been a pleasure being back.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll have you back again. We'll see how
Oh yeah.
success with Duncan the Dragon is going, and how
Yeah.
your January panned out with all your writing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Get it all done. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and thank you for listening along with us once again. And we're gonna keep moving into 2025. Hopefully, we'll get our next one finished up, and we'll have some more readings coming out soon.
I'm looking forward. I got to finish up. I'm about
you gotta
halfway.
finish readings, you can catch up.
Yeah. I'm about halfway. So yeah. Waiting to see.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being on.
Yeah.
And till next time, go in good spirits. Thanks for listening to the Creators Guild podcast. Don't forget to get your copy of A Flight from Shadows, available on Amazon. While you're there, please rate it and give it a review. If you like the Creators Guild, please like and subscribe, and make sure to share it with your friends. Until next time, go in good spirits.